Okay, this section I'm gonna show you how to operate the quadcopters. Now I'm using an F4 controller, but you might have another controller, maybe F7 or maybe a C or D7. Whatever controller you have is identical to the mechanic of operating the quadcopters. So the procedure are real simple, and it should go through with all the other controller as well. I put a battery in there, both batteries, the quadcopter and the camera batteries. Now I'm gonna turn on the camera batteries. So just plug this into the camera batteries. And then there are some loose wire. You could use a wire tie, or you can use rubber bands. So I'm gonna use just a rubber band right now. But you can use a wire tie to tie all the wire together. It's kind of in a way, for me, that is. If you don't think it's bothersome, then you just leave it floating. So I just tie all the wire together. It looks nicer, but you can use a wire tie again. So now just power the camera and the transmitter. They're all power. You can see the red light. Now the camera, before you do anything, you might want to turn on the cameras. So make sure you have a memory card in there, and press the button, the red button right here. So this allows you to turn on the recording sequence. And you notice the light are flashing. That means you are pretty much recording in sequence in starting. The other portion now is to turn on the controller. Now make sure that before you turn on the controller, in either any one of the of controller you have, the throttle stick always is the lowest positions for the controller before you turn it on. You have only about 5 seconds to sync with the quadcopters. So once you turn it on, you have 5 seconds. Turn it on and plug in the batteries. Now you can hear the sounds. You should have 3 beep sounds. So that will tell you the syncing, and then this is one way to tell the syncing. The second way to tell the syncing is that you see the blue light inside. It should flash 2 flashes every second. That means it's already synced. And then you can open this hood first, or you can, before you open, before you turn on the quadcopter, you can open this up. Now you can see the recording there's a red dot. If you have no memory card, it will say empty SD or SD card required. So right now it's recording, and you can see the minutes. It's recording at a minute and 32 seconds already. So now you're ready to do the flying. Always make sure that your blade are on the motors at all time before you power up the quadcopters. The mechanics of the controller are identical to all the controller again. This is your left joystick is your throttle. So once you get this up, this will begin to fly up. This same control joystick, if you move it to the left or move it to the right, this allows the quadcopter to rotate to the right and to the left. So this is rotation and up for this control. The right joystick is your side clicks. So if you move it forward, this will go forward. If you move it backwards, it will go backwards. And then, of course, the right, it go to the right, and left go to the left, it pitch to the left. Now, they have a spring loaded on the controller, so if you let go of the controller, even if it's going backward, it will stop going backward, and it will level itself up. The same as going forward. When you release the controller, it will eventually stop and back itself off, and in any movement you do. You have 4 trimming knobs on all the controller. You have trimming knobs. This trims your side clicks. So this trims the forward and backwards. This trims the left and right, the pitch. And then this also trim your yaw control. So you trim left and right on the yaw control. This trimming is always to the lowest position. So you just always go to the bottom for the control trim. So basically, this is how you set the movement of the quadcopters. Make sure the blades are lined up with the same numbers before you turn it on. So you have 1, 2, 3, and 4. They are all lined up their numbers accordingly before you turn on the quadcopters. So again, make sure you have a flat surface, no grass, no carpet to start with. I prefer you to have it start with a indoor before you go outside because of the wind factors. So you move the joystick about maybe 10%, you begin to turn the motors. Now sometimes the motor doesn't turn evenly all start at the same time. Sometimes you have 3 motors turn on first and then one go to the turn on last within maybe half a second. That's real normal. So don't worry about, it's not damaging motors or any portions. So it might be any one of the quadrant of the motors kicks in at the a little bit later delay within maybe half a second or so. This is normal. Again, push the button up, your joystick up on this one. That will allow you to rotate. So let's step backward a little bit more. Always 2 hands. You need 2 hands to control, not just 1 hand to go up. It won't just go up and stay there. You always have to use the right hand to counter any movements of the quadcopters. So once you raise up a little more, you can see it's trying to flip over on one side. So you want to use your other hand to counter it. So at all times, this is always in sync, moving together with your left and right thumbs. And it takes only small movement of the joystick. You can see I'm not moving real hard on the movement of the joystick. You use more on your right hand because you're countering the force. If you notice my left thumb, I can even let go it once I raise up a little bit. As long as now I'm only playing with the right thumb a lot. But always, again, use your 2 hands if it's necessary or required. You want to do like this for the learning curve. Don't get anything higher than 1 foot off the ground. Maybe a few inches off the ground like this at all times before you get more comfortable. And then you can go up a little more. And if you get too high, bring the joystick on the left just a little bit, an inch down a little bit. So it bring it back down on the control of the quadcopters. You can see I'm just tapping it a little bit off the ground right now because right now I'm teaching you the learning of the sidekick control. So if you go forward, it go forward. If you go backward, it go backwards. If you go right, it should go right. And if you go left, it should go left. Now it's beginning to rotate on the head. So you want to, at all time, your front is always, the yellow portion is always facing away from you for the learning. If it does try to move away from you, you want to rotate back and then make sure the front is the front, the back is the back. And you don't want it to be opposite because that will be extremely hard to do the learning. That's how you do the learning. Go through about maybe 3 or 4 times of the battery charge and then go through again and again before you get it up higher than 1 foot off the ground. Right now you do have a lot of ground effects. So that's why you use a lot on your control of the right joystick to do the learning. That will be this section of how to do the binding and also how to do the mechanic of the learning of the control. Now, before you turn off the controller, you must unplug the battery first. That's always critical. Unplug the batteries and then turn off the radio. And then now you can able to unplug the camera as well.